Tucked away in a remote quarry just outside the Lake District, could this hidden gem be one of the best go-karting tracks in the UK? Welcome to Rowrah, the home circuit of Cumbria Kart Racing Club. I'm here to experience racing on this circuit for the first time, and joining me are some suspicious characters, MRC Karting and Karting with Josh, plus a whole host of other legends who we'll meet soon enough. But for now, let's get out on track and experience just how special this circuit is.
Hello, Rowrah!
Heading down that pit lane and out onto the track for the first time felt so special. How often do you get to go go-karting with this kind of scenery around you? Obviously, my little helmet camera's doing a great job of recording that scenery. It's not doing the best job at showing you how much the elevation changes as you go around this lap though, as we just go past the spinner who's clearly pushed a bit too hard on their outlap. But yeah, the elevation changes are kind of nuts, especially as you get towards the second half of the lap, which we'll see in a minute. For now though, on my outlap I'm just taking it easy. As you can see, the tyres are really cold, so there's no point trying to push hard right now. Plus, I've got a track to learn. And this next little complex of corners proved to be one of the trickiest I've ever come across. So watch me royally mess it up. That is probably not the quickest way through there, but hey, it's my first lap.
So this is Crash Corner apparently. Let's try not to do that.
Yeah, we were told in the briefing that that left-hander here is called Crash Corner for a reason. Apparently lots of people tend to hit the brakes there and just spin off into the barriers because they've carried too much speed. So I went through there nice and easy. Later on, I might have fallen victim to that corner, but hey-ho. Anyway, that's my first lap of Rowrah done. Time to start pushing a little bit harder and trying to build up that speed. Which, you know, went well.
Oh, that was an awful run through there. Come on, you can do better than that.
This track was so much fun to try and learn. There's so many technical little sections and tricky corners that you've got to try and nail in order to get a perfect lap together. And it's safe to say I had a blast out there practicing, but unfortunately, like all practice sessions, this one ended way too quickly.
Whoa! Rowrah, you are awesome.
Yeah, that's right, Rowrah is amazing to hot lap around. But what's it going to be like to race here? I pulled up in the pits behind Karting with Josh and it looked like he had the same reaction I did. But little did he know, I was about to give him a heart attack in this next race. So let's jump onto the starting grid. There's one thing I should tell you before we get going though. See those two red lights? We were told in the briefing, once those lights go out, we go. That's the start of the race. Okay, so keep that in mind. I think some people thought we had to wait for a green light and they just didn't move off the start. Here's Josh's view off the start. You can see me just completely bail out as Josh goes into the back of the guy ahead. I think I might have overtaken people outside of the track a little bit there, but luckily this isn't Formula 1 and there's no stewards, so we carry on. At least everyone will nail the start next time, right? Right? Anyway, we're now battling with James up ahead for P8. Or I was. Someone's just gone down my inside. Beautiful move, and another one. Now back down to P10 again. I'm run a little wide onto the rumble strips on the exit of that corner. Someone else... God, the speed that guy in the green helmet's got. We're back down to P12, make that 11. This is chaos. P10. That guy in the green helmet, though, is in an absolute rocket ship. Look at him, he's just literally driving away. That's Tom Shipman coming through. We'll see a lot more of him in a little while. God, this is a mad start to this race, and it's about to get even crazier. Heading down the start-finish straight towards lap 2, I'm defending furiously from Josh behind, putting my kart in the middle of the track, but he nearly gets me anyway. And then as we head through the first chicane, look on the left, there's two karts in the barrier, and I make a glorious double overtake there to put myself up into P10. That was pure filthy skill, that was. Heading down this straight towards the second hairpin, we start to dodge some of the track's natural hazards, namely rocks. Yeah, Josh has started to realise about the same time I have that this car I'm driving is seriously down on engine power. but I do not want to give up any more positions if I can help it. Little did I know, I wasn't going to have much choice. Josh goes for a little look down the inside of this right-hander. I leave him the space, but then I clip the curb on the entry to crash corner, sending me out wide all the way through the gravel, spraying rocks everywhere. Luckily, Josh was able to see the funny side. Unfortunately for me, there's nothing I can do when the kart's this slow in the straight, so Josh sails past into the first chicane. Oh well, at least P11's not the worst place in the... God damn it! On the exit of this second hairpin is probably the best example I can give you as to what I was dealing with in this race. Look at the gap, and then as we get down the straight, look at them all just drive away from me. But hey, maybe I can try and make something happen in the corners. These guys are going side by side up ahead. Can I take advantage of it as we go through the complex? Not quite, but I have gained on them. Jumping forward to the next lap, Josh and the guy in the number 20 helmet have disappeared. But this guy in the red suit and white helmet has just made a mistake. He's run wide at the first hairpin. And I'm managing to sort of stay on his tail. You can see he's drifting a little bit there through this second hairpin. And he's not gapping me as much as the others were on this straight. So if I can get my head down, maybe I can start to hunt him down a little bit, try and take some different... Where is he?
Didn't want that. Wanted to fight.
Hey, it's a position. I'll take it. Luckily for me, race 2 was going to be completely the opposite of this one. Which is lucky because as we head into this first hairpin now, I'm just about to be overtaken by one of those guys who crashed on lap 2. So that's, you know, good. We'll watch him drive away as well. This is the only real issue I had with Rowrah. The track is incredible, but they've got some issues with their karts. The parity between the karts is wild. You could be like 3 seconds a lap slower if you got a bad kart, which isn't great for these kind of races. But it is good when you get a quick one. Anyway, nearing the end of the race, I make another beautiful overtake, courtesy of Tom Shipman being stuck on the left-hand side here. Bless him, his chain had come off, I think. Fantastic move by me, though. That puts us up into P11, where we will stay until the end of the race. 0 positions gained, but crucially, 0 positions lost, which in a go-kart that accelerates like it's towing a caravan full of regret and sadness is no mean feat. Anyway, we've all swapped karts for race 2, and unbeknownst to me, I'm now sat in a rocket ship. So let's head down to the grid. I'm starting 11th. Unfortunately, we've all done one race start here now, so surely we can't get it wrong again. I swear that time even less people accelerated when the lights went out. So somehow I'm now in P6 and I'm not entirely sure what's just happened.
What the f***?
Fortunately though, this time I did make sure I had 2 wheels on the track at all times, so all of those were legal moves, I think. Don't come at me, stewards. Anyway, flash forward onto the end of lap 1, the guy in the number 20 helmet has scrubbed off a bit too much speed. He's got a little bit sideways through that final corner, and I've got the run on him, so we go down his inside into this chicane and move up into P5. Up ahead, there's some fairly enthusiastic gesturing, which I think is just falling on deaf ears as these guys battle for the final podium position. And P2 runs entirely off the track there before he manages to gather it up and keep going. God, this is so different to the last race. I'm actually running in the top 5 at the moment. And things are only about to get more exciting from here. P2 runs a bit deep, which just bunches everyone up, and as we exit the complex, I have a little look over my shoulder and see I've got company as well. So as we head over this crest and down into the right-hander of St John's, I take a slightly defensive line, which almost turned into a big mistake because I then run wide on the exit of Crash Corner and nearly go into the gravel. Just managed to keep it on the black stuff. Later on the next lap, I managed to get a great run through the second hairpin. I felt really strong there all race, and I just managed to pull up alongside and slowly get past P4. As long as I can close him off when we get to this apex, which I managed to do, I've got the position. The 2 guys up ahead have gone really deep again, so I actually backed out of that. I didn't want to be side by side through there because that was going to turn nasty and I was just going to get pounced on. But we've managed to make it through. That's P3 up ahead. As we go through Crash Corner, he actually dips a wheel on the grass on the entry entry, which puts him wide, and then I managed to get up alongside him, but now I'm on his outside into the final corner. I tried to back out, and P4's having none of it. He's down my inside. That was a cracking move from him, and I just left myself open for that. Silly little mistakes which I shouldn't be making, and which probably cost me quite a bit in this race, as you're about to see. Running down towards the first hairpin, the car behind me's got a run on me, so I have to defend on the inside line, but then I just kind of get checked up behind P4 on the apex, which gives P5 and 6 a good run on me there. P7's having a look as well, but I managed to hang it around the outside of this second hairpin and get a good run off it. So much so that we're almost straight back past this guy in the red suit and back up into P6. Heading down into the complex once again, there's all sorts of weird tight lines going on up ahead. So I'm trying to hang back a little bit here, set up an alternate line, see if I can get a better exit, which I do manage to do. The two cars ahead sort of take each other wide, and now I'm side by side with P5 as we head down to this fast right-hander. I've got the inside line, the guy up ahead goes wide, but then I just put my nose where it didn't belong and get pushed a bit wide and lose all three of those places. Again, silly little mistakes. What am I doing? Come on. Heading down into the first hairpin this time, and the guy in P3 or 4 gets pushed wide and loses a whole heap of places there. I try and leave him a little bit of space just so that he can rejoin, and now the guys up ahead are really starting to battle with each other. This is kind of not what I wanted, to be honest, because it's letting P2 get really far away, and the leader is gone. He's just checked out. He's in a different postcode. I go for a little bit of a dive on the guy in the red suit into the complex, but get a little bit checked up on the apex, and he manages to sweep back round my outside and keep the position. That was a great little battle, that. And that is honestly what I'm loving so much about this circuit, is the amount of overtaking opportunities and places where you can actually stay side by side with each other and try and fight it out. It's great fun. Speaking of being side by side, who's that down my inside into the final corner? It's none other than Tom Shipman, or as he's known on YouTube, Slipper Racing. You should absolutely go subscribe to him if you haven't already. He's a lovely guy and he's ridiculously quick out on track. So I'll be honest, even though I've dropped another position, I'm not too bothered that I'm now behind Tom, because hopefully I can try and lock in, follow him through, and maybe try and pick off a couple of these guys up ahead. Yeah, or scratch that, I might just overtake him. Yeah, I'll do that, why not? That very same lap, the guy in the red suit up ahead has a bit of a bad run through the final corner, and I've managed to get some speed on him. So as we go over the start-finish straight, I'm down his inside, into the first chicane, and I'm through and up into P5. And you'd think that would be the end of that, but no. Let's jump on board with Tom and look at what happens next. As we head into the final hairpin, I've got a bit of a gap on the guy in the red suit, but he just doesn't brake. Runs right into the back of me on the apex, shovels me wide, and takes the position. And here it is again from my onboard. Now, I pride myself on being a pretty calm and level-headed driver. Well, that pissed me off. So I decided to give him a bit of a taste of his own medicine and sent it right back down the inside into the second hairpin. God knows what was going through Tom's head as he was watching these two maniacs trying to take each other out, but I managed to get the position, and Tom gave me a little push on the exit, which helped me out a little bit, so cheers for that, dude. I also think my move might have just been on the border of being legal, even though the red mist had descended, but hey, that's a discussion we can have in the comments. Let me know what you think. Anyway, Tom's taken full advantage of that, and he goes down my inside into the complex, and the guy behind in the red suit tries to follow him through. I leave him the room, but he doesn't get the run, and in the end I've managed to hold on to P6. Let's try and lock in now and chase after Tom, and maybe not overtake him immediately at this point, and see if we can close up to the guys ahead. One lap later, and we have done exactly that. Tom's all over the back of P4, who's defending slightly going into this right-hander before crash corner. Tom looks to the outside but smartly backs out and lives to fight another day, unlike myself a little earlier in this race. And now, as we head through the penultimate corner, the guy in the fluorescent helmet is basically just going to wave Tom through, I think. I think he's realised that he hasn't quite got the straight line speed. I take full advantage of that and pounce down his inside as well, and now we're up into the top 5. Let's see if we can keep this going and catch the two guys ahead who are properly battling for second place. There is an outside shot of a podium here. A few laps further on, and I'm practically glued to the back of Tom's bumper. He's trying to signal to me to push him, but I haven't quite got that little bit of speed to be able to close up to him before we hit the corners. I do think, though, that I'm able to carry much more speed through some of these, especially this chicane here. I'm trying to push him a little bit as we head into the first hairpin, but then obviously backing off so I don't shove him wide on the exit. I do think it's a good time to mention now, actually, that we're not running any kind of ballast in this race. Tom's way lighter than me, and as such he's kind of leaping out of the exits of these corners, and the superior straight line speed in my car is only kind of closing the gap towards the end of the straight. So even though I'm trying to tuck in and kind of we're both trying to work together here, it's not really working. We're not really gaining that much on the guys ahead. You can see it in action here as we round the final corner. Tom gets a little bit wide. Rather than trying to send it down his inside and battle, I just give him a bit of a nudge, but then I'm having to back off quite a bit as we go through this chicane. And on this lap, I think is when I realised, actually, I'm getting held up a little bit here now. I need to start trying to get past Tom. I think he probably realises around the same time, because as you can see here, I'm trying to gesture maybe to work together and he's just pointing to let me through. What a legend. Cheers, Tom. That's me up into P4. I immediately stuff up the exit of that hairpin, so Tom gives me a little nudge and sends me on my way. Let's chase down this podium. There's not that many laps left to go. I'm not entirely sure how many laps we've got, but I know we're quite far into this race now. One thing that's great about Rowrah is they do actually put out a final lap board rather than just showing the checkered flag, so I'll know when I've got one lap left to go, but it won't be far away, and that gap is pretty big, so I'm going to have to muster all my concentration and iron out all my mistakes if we're going to try and close this guy down. Spurred on by having a podium so close and just within reach, I got my head down and set my personal best lap time around Rowrah. And I'm going to shut up now and let you ride on board with me as I set a 59 flat. Was it a personal best, but I don't care, because as we go over the start finish line, I go down his inside into the chicane and manage to take the position. I'm up into P3, check over my shoulder to make sure he's not got a run on me as we head down into the first hairpin, but we're all good as long as I can keep this clean through the exit, which I do. Hopefully I can start to pull a bit of a gap on him and consolidate this place, and not a second too soon, we are on the final lap of this race. One final time I round that last corner and see the checkered flag. That's it, we've got the podium.
Woo! Rowrah!
There's something very special about Rowrah. It's not just the layout, although that's brilliant. It's the setting, the flow, it's that feeling you get when you hook a lap together. This place demands your respect, and if you give it everything, it'll give you one of the best karting experiences in the country. Is it the best karting track in the UK? That's up to you to decide, but for me, it's right up there. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe if you enjoyed it and you want to see more like it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.